Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
Video call appointments, Zooms, telephone triage, WhatsApp results. Welcome to your modern-day surgery. But what about those who might be left behind? And when did you last physically set eyes on your doctor? When did you sit opposite him or her? It's part of a revolution in healthcare. How many times have I said or written those words in my career? A revolution in healthcare. And Health Secretary Matt Hancock was speaking to me just before the news.
One of the good things about the crisis is that the vast majority of doctors now offer video consultations or consultations over the phone, and a huge amount of people have taken these up, and this is excellent. The reports are that people prefer it. Many people prefer it. The doctors prefer it. Of course,
really?
Though. Yes.
You're far better versed in this than I, but in some instances, don't you need to physically see the patient to see their lumps or bumps?
Of course. I was just coming on to that. I was going to say, of course, the face-to-face consultation, of course, has to continue, both for people who, for clinical reasons, you need it for to address a lump or a bump, or if you want to do it to have a face-to-face appointment, then of course you can, and that will always be available. But the video consultations and the phone consultations that we rapidly expanded during the crisis have proved very popular, and so we'll be pushing that ahead. Let's
explore those words from Matt Hancock. The people prefer it, the doctors prefer it, and it's proved very popular. Let's ask a doctor. Ken Aswani is GP based in Waltham Forest, joins me now. Doctor, do you prefer it? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Very much welcome remote consulting. It's a great addition, a greater offer that we can offer patients. But there is a balance, because there are patients that will need examination, that are complicated, that need an interpreter, mental health, learning disabilities, are vulnerable in different ways. Or some patients will only give you symptoms if they see you face-to-face. So we're looking at the body language. So it's really important that we have a balance. And then there are quite a number of patients we do need to see face-to-face. I mean, remote consulting is great, and it's an additional service, but it doesn't replace absolutely everything.
So how is that balance to be achieved, Doctor?
Well, at least what the doctor does is have a telephone consultation with the patient, and they can make that judgment. Even if the patient contacts a surgery, certainly if they need a procedure, if they need an injection or multiple procedures that are done, or a blood pressure check, etc., the receptionist automatically book them in for a face-to-face. So it is assessed to make sure that it works appropriately.
And does it add to a doctor's workload, decrease, or roughly the same for him or her?
I would say overall roughly the same. In fact, some telephone video consultations take longer than face-to-face because you're trying to have to work things out remotely. But obviously some can be quicker, so it does balance out. The reason why one does it is that it's actually very, very convenient, particularly from the patient's point of view, or not having to go through coming into the surgery and spending a lot of time in the waiting room and so on. Clearly, in the current sort of pandemic, it is an advantage because of infection control. But yes, where it suits both sides, I think it does have a very important place.
And aren't you, and I did explore this with the Health Secretary, but we didn't have time to play it all. Lastly, Doctor, you're not concerned that perhaps the most vulnerable, whether it's through emotional health issues or sometimes, again, without being demeaning, the elderly, are those who are going to be left behind in this revolution?
I think that's a legitimate risk, but I think it's important, particularly to GP surgeries and for all of us, that we make sure that we care for all these vulnerable patients and we don't increase the inequalities and have that disadvantage. And I think the only way we can do that is to be aware of it and make sure that risk doesn't happen. But you're absolutely right. We've got to keep a close eye on it. You never have one solution that suits everyone. Of course, the elderly and vulnerable sometimes are people that need health services the most.
Dr. Ken Aswani, your GP based in Waltham Forest, thank you. I'm going to put that down as effectively a tick in the box for the idea. Let's bring another doctor into the conversation. Dr. Umang Patel is a paediatrician for the NHS and Director of NHS Services at Babylon Health. And perhaps I can give you the first question again. I'm told by the Health Secretary that doctors prefer it. Do you? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I think it's great. I mean, the flexibility alone is great from a doctor's side to be able to work from home, not just see patients, but also join in teaching, be able to talk to colleagues using technology is a real step change for us working on the front line of the NHS, something that I don't think we'd ever believed would have happened so quickly. But clearly, as soon as coronavirus came along, we're able to adapt, and there's been some definite advantages to that.
But obviously, my goodness me, you're far better versed in this than I, but surely a patient has presented him or herself and they've arrived in your surgery and you've had a piece of paper or on your video screen or computer screen, you think, oh, right, I'm going to see this person. And then you actually see them face to face and you think, oh, my goodness me, this is totally different because I can see the rash, the bump, the lump, whatever it might be, Doctor.
Absolutely. I think there are two things that we've got to be really mindful of. One is we've got to make sure we give doctors training. So it is a different experience talking to somebody on a phone or having a video consultation. And we have to set the guidelines to make sure that if you're seeing somebody, that they're confident and happy to say, do you know what, I can't see that lump or bump and therefore I need to put you through to another process where we can bring you in. But don't forget there are some advantages as well. I mean, I'm a paediatrician. The ability to see into someone's home is actually quite helpful to be able to see what's going on. Is their life really as chaotic when they're there? How many children are screaming in the background?
Aren't you only going to see,
let their guard down?
Respectfully, aren't you going to see the edited highlights, as it were? Aren't you just going to see the patient in front of a bookcase, as we see all our politicians in front of bookcases?
I don't think patients are like politicians, so I don't think they stage it in quite the same way. Often, if you're talking to patients that are scared and worried and you're able to see them, then they're keen to see you in whatever format they can. I mean, the number of patients we see that are in cars or, you know, being able to just do their daily life because they're just trying to fit it in to what is a busy time.
Very interesting. Thank you. Good luck with what you're doing as well. Thank you, Dr. Umang Patel. You're a paediatrician and director of NHS services at Babylon Health. Brian, we see the doctors pretty much